Hello, hola, and
yes.
Yes. Teach me how to say that.
Yes.
When do you say yes? Is that like an
I have not been here
individual?
long enough to understand the distinction of the grammar. Come on, Fernando. Don't make me look like a hot fucking mess already.
Let's get into this. This is episode 2 of Bear Fur and Sparkles. Hello, everybody. This is a podcast about leaving your old life behind and starting fresh, living abroad. My name is Fernando. I am the one that is living in Lisbon, Portugal, after spending decades as a radio personality in San Francisco, California. In fact, shout out to maybe a few of you who might remember or maybe have listened in the past. I did hear from a few of you via my Instagram and also on my Substack, so I truly appreciate that. And then, of course, the day came when I decided that my life needed a change of location. And I started on the path here to Europe. I'm also the adoring husband to the love of my life, Jeremy, and we are navigating this new adventure here in Portugal together.
And I'm Jason. I'm the one living and loving in Athens, Greece. I spent a decade and a half moving between corporate America, the art world, and the nonfiction film worlds of San Francisco, California. One day I looked around the city by the bay and realized, it's not you, it's me. So I let go of my rent-controlled apartment, said until next time to my friends, and see you for an ouzo in Greece. Most nights, I'm doing this adventure solo.
Do you know I heard the record skip sound effect in my head when you said, I let go of my rent-controlled apartment? Like, what?
Yeah, it skips in my head still, too.
Like, we are two friends who met in San Francisco years ago, and at that time, little did we know that in middle age, we would both be departing the U.S. to take our chances living in two of the oldest cities in Europe. So here we are in two completely different countries. We're experiencing many of the same challenges and adjustments, but still, there are many situations that are unique to either Portugal or to Greece. All of it, we're going to share with you right here on Bear Fur and Sparkles for those who are completing one adventure and moving on to the next one.
We spent years chasing dreams, climbing the career ladder, and creating robust, comfortable, well,
for
sort
some.
of comfortable. Oh,
yeah.
What the
Actually, we probably should specify. I was very comfortable, and I
was managing. You want to clutch your
Let's
pearls
focus on the strong friendships rather than the comfortability.
But for us, and we think many of you, we got to a point where we questioned what parts of our lives were still working for us, and more importantly, what parts just weren't. I mean, I'm normally behind the camera filming and organizing other people's stories. In fact, this is one of the first times I've ever jumped in front of it. And I'm really here because when I went looking for this kind of story, I couldn't find ones which dug deeper into the day-to-day realities of not just relocation, but evolution and reinvention. For me, the best part of having elders in my life is that they've saved me time. And while I'm not in my elder phase just yet, Fernando might be, hopefully this will save those making a jump into their next dream a little more time.
We are going to talk about the fantasy versus the reality of moving from the U.S. to find a new home in Europe. Again, you are in Greece. I think it bears repeating. I am in Portugal. And I think both of us, we were definitely thinking it would be different than what it actually turned out. Wouldn't you agree?
In some ways it's better. And in some ways there are wah-wah moments. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, today's topic is fantasy versus reality. There were a lot of things, a lot of fantasies that we had about moving to Europe, a lot of things in our heads that just seemed like they're going to be so amazing and so wonderful and so fabulous. I know it's an overused word, but really, I just thought everything was going to be fabulous. And then you get here and it's...
Before I moved to Greece, I had a whole story in my head about how the transition was going to go. And part of that story came from being queer, actually, because when you grow up queer, you get really good at navigating worlds that weren't built for you. You learn how to read rooms, reinterpret expectations, translate cultural signals. So I assumed that skill set was going to make the move pretty smooth. And I thought I'd basically be immune to culture shock. So my fantasy was that I wasn't going to experience culture shock. And that did not turn out to be true. At least not in the way that I expected. At least not in the way that I expected it.
Again, growing up queer, right? I think a lot of us got really good at taking some of these fantasies and kind of bringing them to life, right? Like as far as like what we envisioned for ourselves in our lives, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm kind of speaking for myself here, but a lot of the fantasies that I had as a kid of like, these are the type of people I want to be friends with. This is the type of work I want to do. This is the type of place I want to live. You know, these are the things I want to be concerned about and learn about and visit and all of those things. Like, I'm not saying every single one of them came through, but, you know, there were a lot of things as far as, you know, just what I had in my head was what I was able to sort of make happen around me in reality at some point, you know, in my life. So I kind of thought, why would this be different? I have the vision for what I want to achieve. So why can't I make that happen over there?
Okay, Manifest Queen, we see you.
Oh, I'm a manifester from way back. She one of the original. She one of the OG manifestors.
I mean, you know, this is classic Dorothy and Wizard of Oz territory. You know, once you look around and you're like, none of this is real.
Yes.
Just click your heels and you can go wherever you want. In many ways, what you're even saying gets me, you know, makes me start thinking about this concept from probably one of my favorite queer theorists, Jose Esteban Munoz, called disidentification. Now, before the word disidentification scares anyone off, the idea itself is actually really intuitive.
Okay, because I was counting the syllables of that word and I was a little, disidentification. That is a 7-syllable word, girl. And I usually 4 is about my limit.
Hooked on phonics, girl. So most of us grow up surrounded by cultural messages that don't quite fit us. Movies, family, expectations, religion, nationalism, masculinity. And these systems tell us who we're supposed to be, right? They give us a track. They give us a set of expectations. And for queer people especially, those messages often feel both familiar and alien at the same time.
Agreed.
And what Munoz argues is that when marginalized people encounter dominant culture, we usually have 3 options. The first option is identification. And that means accepting the dominant message and trying to assimilate into it. You see this with like the good citizen, the good son, the normal life, and I put that in quotes, and you try to become that person even if it costs you something. And then the second option would be counter-identification, which is just outright rejection. You refuse the system completely. You say, this culture isn't for me. I want nothing to do with it. But Munoz argues that many queer people do something more complicated and far more creative. We disidentify.
What does that mean, though, to
Okay.
disidentify?
So disidentification means we neither fully accept nor fully reject the culture around us. Instead, we work on and against it at the same time. We take elements from the dominant culture and repurpose them for our own survival. What does that sound like?
Faking it until you make it.
You send a small group of us this every couple of weeks or every other week. It's a strategy of remixing.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Okay. Oh, she's into it now. Okay.
Oh yeah. You said remix.
DJ Fernando.
Wah, wah.
So like think about drag, for example, right? Drag doesn't simply imitate gender norms and it doesn't simply reject them either. It reworks them. It exaggerates them, twists them, and turns it into something else entirely. Disidentification is a survival strategy born from necessity. When you live in a world that's not designed for you, you become skilled at reinterpreting that world so that you can inhabit it. You learn how to read signals, codes, possibilities that other people might not notice.
Can you also call this sort of adaptation? Like you have to adapt to what's around you and make it work for you.
Yeah,
or
but
so you can work within it.
But I would say that this is a far more interesting way to think about that as a concept, because adaptation means that you would eventually normalize. right? So to adapt would mean to say the dominant culture, whatever it is, I'm going to bend to that will so that I can fit in. This says I'm going to do something in between.
Right.
Okay.
Doing just enough to be able to fit in with the dominant culture without completely compromising or losing yourself and who you are.
Yeah. I mean, it's exhausting, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. This becomes second nature, I think, for us. And that's why I found this framework, this intellectual framework, really fascinating. And now we're to a move into a dominant culture, right? A new dominant culture, which is Greek culture, or the culture that exists in Greece, and how that is different from America. And I thought, oh, I have been disidentifying for as long as I can remember. I'm going to be fine. It wasn't language barriers or food or even bureaucracy, although that has worked my last nerves and taught me patience at a whole other level. This was something more subtle. There are ways of speaking here, ways of caring, ways of being direct, ways of taking the lead in conversations or relationships that, to my sensibilities, some of those interactions felt really abrupt. They felt really intense. They felt very overly directive. And sometimes they even registered in kind of my upbringing as a kind of manipulation. And that word manipulation is like so culturally loaded, but it comes from a particular set of assumptions about autonomy, about communication and emotional boundaries that I was trained to understand in a very specific way. We know that you're of Italian heritage, right? Mediterraneans and first generation, correct? Your parents are first generation?
Italian parents. Everybody else was also from Italy.
How were forms of care shown to you growing up?
That the first thing that just comes to my mind, right, as far as like how you show that you care for someone, sort of this attitude of like kindness or gentleness is not really a part of that, right?
Okay.
That's not a part necessarily of showing love. A lot of times it's very sort of abrupt, or it even feels sort of aggressive at times. That's the thing. If you love someone, if you know this person and you love and you care for them, right? In this culture, in my opinion, it isn't always necessary that you present that love or show that love in this sort of gentle, kind way. Like, listen, I care so much for you that I can also just be 100% raw with you as well. And just be like, here's what I think. I'm not really concerned about your feelings. I'm just concerned about you.
Yeah. I mean, I had one of the kind of turning experiences for me, or moments where I really started to get into what this culture shock, how this culture shock was showing up for me, was I had someone who I'm quite close to walk up to me at an event, gesture towards a shirt that I was wearing, and was like, "That's not your color." And I said, "Excuse me?"
And bitch.
I mean, I was out in public. There was nothing I could do to change that. Like, we were at an event. I was like mortified because here's the thing. They were not wrong. Like, I can pull that color off during the summer when I have a little bit of a tan. Right. But when my, Irish, Czech, Slovakian heritage shows up and I go pasty white during the winter, I should not be wearing gold. Like, it's a little too close to my skin tone.
Right. Too much.
So they weren't wrong, but it just was like, do you do that? And
yeah,
I had never experienced this. I had never experienced someone being that direct in that type of a situation about something I had no control over. And in some ways it came out of the blue. And so I actually asked a lot of men about this. I was like, is this normal? And they were like, oh yeah, my aunt will like walk up to me at a family party and will say to me, you look horrible in that shirt, go change. And they then told me that they would run to their bedroom to change, or they would run to the room to change. Like, and they reframed the whole experience for me as being slightly problematic and also a sign of care. Like, they wouldn't tell you that you looked bad if they didn't care.
Growing up with, people of Mediterranean heritage, I can tell you that, that's very common like that. I mean, again, I only got 5 years with my mom before she passed away, but I even remember as early as like 3 and 4 years old, anytime I took it upon myself to put on some clothing and then come downstairs, and my mom would look at me like, "Oh, let's go upstairs and let's fix this. This shall not stand. You look terrible. I have better clothes for you. I know I've purchased better clothing for you. Let's make this happen. Or maybe let's like reconfigure, because this does not go with that."
That's not the queer remixing that we like. We like a different version.
Exactly. So did my mother have a personal thing against me? No.
No. She loved you. Yeah.
So going back to disidentification, right? And again, like, first of all, props to you for realizing that you do this, that we do this.
I didn't realize it.
Right.
May he rest in peace, Jose Esteban Munoz. I just read the book.
I'm curious, like when did you even realize, oh, wait a minute, this disidentifying isn't going to work for me here?
I mean, it wasn't until about a month ago that the pieces started to connect a little bit more, or the way that I understood that framework was really working for me. Because it gave me like all this flexibility to reinterpret, translate, and kind of move between worlds. But eventually the encounter with my new dominant culture became more personal, because sometimes the friction between cultures don't just reveal differences between societies, it reveals the edges of our own interior work. And that's where I think Munoz's ideas become even more interesting. Because disidentification isn't just about surviving dominant culture. It's also about the creative work of constantly negotiating who we are in relation to the worlds we inhabit. And sometimes that negotiation is playful and inventive, and sometimes it's confronting. Because the culture around you becomes a mirror that shows you exactly where your own finished or unfinished work lives. So in a strange way, moving here didn't free me from culture shock. It just changed the form it took.
Yeah.
And maybe that's another version of queer survival too. The willingness to just keep learning from the worlds that we enter, even when they show us parts of ourselves we weren't really planning to meet.
Yeah. It feels like you're leveling up on your
I mean, give me the Super Mario Brothers like coin sound, because I feel like I've done beat down a Bowser so many times, and Bowser is me. But Fernando, what's your fantasy versus reality?
Oh, have I got one for you? Everybody was talking about how cheap it is to fly around Europe on like budget airlines, or like how robust the train services are here and how quickly you can get from city to city. And I'm thinking, oh, I mean, that fantasy. I'm like, oh, she gonna be everywhere. She's gonna be in London this weekend. She's gonna cross over to Paris on that Eurostar, and then she's gonna take a plane, and she's gonna come see Jason over there in Athens, and then she's gonna jump on another plane. Oh, let's stop by Italy because my friend is in Sicily right now. Why not? Let's go over there. Oh no, maybe I'll come home. No, maybe I'll go over to Spain. It's all on the way. It's so cheap. Ryanair, €19 flight. Oh, girl, I'm there. Let me tell you. That is all fantasy. I mean, yes. Now, to be fair, you might find a €19 flight on Ryanair, and it's probably going to be at like 5:45 in the morning, and it's going to leave from like Marrakesh and go to like some city in Austria that you've never heard of before. But if you want to go from Lisbon over maybe to Milan because you want to see, your favorite band perform over there, or whatever the case may be, you can expect to pay at least €200. By the time you pick your seat, forget it. If you want to throw a piece of luggage in your hold, let me tell you a story about that. We went to London for my birthday about a year ago, and my best friend came in from Seattle, and she met us there. We were actually going to fly from the UK here to Portugal because I wanted to show her Lisbon and spend some time with her here. So we flew out of Luton on EasyJet. She came over on like, I don't know, Virgin Atlantic or whatever, and she was like premium economy or something. So it was no problem to bring a larger bag. They threw it in the hold. I don't even think she had to pay extra for it. But on EasyJet, Literally, we were out there in line checking in to get her boarding pass. And they're like, oh, no, you got to weigh that bag. I'm like, okay.
Ooh.
So bag on there. And like their limit, I think, don't quote me on this one. I think it's like 15 kilo or something like that.
Yeah, something low probably.
Yeah. 15 kilo, which is about maybe 35 pounds almost, something like that. Anyway, her bag comes in at a whopping like 60 kilo.
What did she bring?
Girl brought her son. I don't know who was. She brought a child with her. No, I don't know. I mean, well, actually, I do know, because at that point, we opened the bag right out there in front of the check-in counter. And we're like literally like throwing her underwear up in the air, and like just stuff is just coming out of this. And she got a hair like straightener, and then a curler, and then she got this and that and the other thing, and 3 pair of shoes, and on and on.
You weren't a good Judy. How did those even work in Europe for her? I mean, this is the big mistake. Like, you bring all this hair stuff and it blows a fuse in a hot second, and suddenly your electricity out and the thing is destroyed.
I thought she knew. And I did tell her, like, listen, you need to make sure that you get the converters. Otherwise your appliances are not going to work. And I told her too, I said, listen, you don't need to bring a hair dryer, a blow dryer. Don't do it.
Right.
It's just unnecessary. There's plenty of them here in a hotel. Yeah. I have one. I don't even have any hair, but we got one around here. Like,
I think I left it at your house. I think I left mine at your house.
Probably. I have no idea where it came from. All 60 kilos of this bag just strewn out all over the floor. All of the UK knows what underwear size she is now. She's just like, I don't know what to do. Like, where are we going to put this stuff? And I'm like, I mean, we could put some in my backpack. We can get you another bag. And anyway, so what we wound up doing, we just had to pay. Like, we had to pay 68 pounds more because of how oversized or overweight this bag was.
That's not bad, actually.
Okay.
No. I had a moment. I flew back from Lisbon to New York during the holidays, and my bag was over by a kilo.
Okay.
And they charged me, I want to say, somewhere between $150 and $200
for for our American listeners. That's 2.2 pounds. 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds.
And there was no way. Like, it was camera equipment, so there was no way that I could move it to something else. Like, I basically had to check one of my carry-on bags. So that was the charge. I mean, it was an insane gate check charge. She did well.
She did all right. Now that you tell me that story, I'm just like, oh my God, yeah, she actually didn't do so bad. Yeah. And this is another thing everybody needs to think about too before they travel. And maybe we'll go more into this in another episode. What always gets me is that currency conversion, because like 68 pounds is like $105, right? Like, it's 3 digits now. When you're going to the UK, it always looks like it's not as expensive as it seems. And then you do the conversion, you're like, oh man, can't believe how much that costs.
Yeah.
I wanted to move over to a new feature on Bear Fur and Sparkles, which is listener comments and questions. Those are all of our listeners right now. They have comments and they have questions.
Why do they sound like the Deathly Howls? Who are our listeners, Fernando? They're reaching up from the underworld.
That's supposed to be crowd noise, not people dying.
They're on the march down to Hades.
I may have to retire that sound effect. I don't know. Anyway, if you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
First listener question is from Lil Lumpia, and this is via Instagram. She follows me at Fernando for Real. She DM'd me to ask, Fernando, your comments on Heated Rivalry were ridiculous, but now I have to know, have you finished Heated Rivalry yet? And do you still think it's soft porn?
Oh, thank God for Little Lumpia. And also now I'm hungry.
Can I tell you, I so miss Filipino food.
I miss Vietnamese food.
That too.
We had more than a week, but it felt like a week of, cloudy skies and rain. And I was like, give me some Pho 3000. Like, where is he right now?
Pho me all night long, please. Just do it. Stick it in my veins. Anyway,
give me that fish sauce.
Anyway, back to Lil Lumpia's question. Yes, I did finish heated rivalry. So I'm going to amend my answer from episode 1. And I'm going to say that, yes, the first 3 episodes were indeed soft porn. I'm standing by that. I will die on that hill. Also, now to answer to Jason's comment in episode 1 of this podcast, during episodes 5 and 6, I did feel like I was holding back some real tears.
He's a human.
But alas, no tears actually rolled down my face or made it to the point where they escaped my eyes.
You're not allowed you can't go to the cottage, Fernando. You're not allowed. You've been disinvited. Sorry. Nope.
First of all, I was just very happy to see that, yes, this more sort of tenderness came out of this story.
Okay.
And kind of a shock surprise at the end. Wasn't expecting. Well, actually, I kind of was expecting it. I just didn't know how that was going to go down.
Okay.
But, it did. And I love it. But I do want to speak to like what is good about this show's success and what is a little disappointing for me. And I'm not going to go too crazy with this, but, because this show captured the attention of more than just the LGBT community. This show is mass appeal now. And, that proves yet again that stories about the gay experience can find an audience beyond the gay community, which I love it. I think that's amazing. And, I told you I was excited to see the stars of the show. They were running the torch into the Olympics. I just saw Connor Story, who was on SNL over the weekend. He did an amazing job. I think we forget, like when you agree to do SNL, that's work. Okay. You show up on a Monday, like almost a week until the actual night of the show.
Yeah.
And they put you to work. You write skits, you appear in them, you got things to do. You don't just show up on Saturday night, do an opening monologue and like introduce the musical guest. You've been there the entire week working with this cast to put the show together. So, when you think about that, it's like this dude, he was great. So if you haven't had a chance to see him,
Fernando, you do realize that he did not speak Russian before he auditioned. Like this man, he's good. You were out there being like, he is a soft porn actor. I don't know who he is. He hasn't done anything. I mean, can we roll tape for episode 1 and the comments you made? Because I
did not say
you threw them.
He hasn't done anything. You
were like, I saw like maybe 3 credits on IMDb. I mean, you really you came for him.
No, that was the other one. That was
you said, look at the wig line. There it is.
What's the other one? Hudson. What's his name? Hudson Harrison. Hudson Williams. Which is a great name if I could remember it.
I mean, that's a Falcon porn star name, Hudson Williams.
I'm about to say.
Bless you, but
Connor Story is a Sean Cody name, though. I mean, they really do. They both have porn names. Let's not dance around that.
They do. Yeah. And that's fine, because I'll go to the cottage.
So here's where I'm a little disappointed, and it has really nothing to do with the show. I am not disappointed in the show. I'm not disappointed with any of the actors or the people who wrote the stories, and nothing really. The show is pretty flawless. What I get upset about, or what I get a little frustrated with, our stories only seem to pop off and become like mass appeal when it is about these 3 topics. Someone who has got a secret and hasn't come out of the closet with it yet, or someone who's dressing in drag, or somebody with AIDS who's going to die. Like those are like our 3 big stories. I mean, I think that's fine because those are very big stories for us. And I think that we have other stories to tell that don't get to see the light of day. That just makes me a little bit sad. Right. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that like all of the stories about the topics I just listed to you should not have been made, or we should make more in the future. But I just feel like they really just kind of stick to that big 3 when they're going to tell a gay story. And my disappointment sort of also lies in the fact that we need to keep telling these stories because people outside of our community seem to forget all of these horrible things that we've gone through and the things that we have to deal with. So we need to just keep finding new ways to tell these stories. But I would love to see more things, something like a Schitt's Creek where they never had to do where the son had to come out to everybody in the town, right? Like it was just like he showed up gay and he was.
I think his sweaters came out.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question because I think heated rivalry moves something along, and I'm wondering if you found yourself waiting for the diabolical to occur. And by that I mean, okay, so you did.
Absolutely.
And how did you feel when that didn't occur? And let's name what the diabolical thing would be here.
Relieved. That's how I felt. Like, no, I'm in every single episode. Like, I thought they were going to get found out much sooner.
But were they going to get found out by somebody else? Or did you fear that one of them was going to break the trust? That, for me, was the most interesting part about heated rivalry, was that I had such anxiety over the course of that arc.
Yes.
As to whether or not we were going to have a moment where one of them was going to have to be deemed the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And that we were going to watch a level of savagery happen. No, and it was going to reinforce some kind of truism that I don't even know where it got put into my body, that I can't even trust members of my own community. The diabolical, just to clear that up, would be that one of them would have outed the other one to the press, to, in some capacity.
Yeah.
Or the female beard character, which I loved that storyline, that she would do it. But instead, in every single place, it was a community of care of like, we are going to take care of each other in some way. And that for me was new. I had not seen that in a TV series. That they set up the villain as the pressure that the society had placed on these two men instead of one of the gay characters. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's successful, actually.
Several key things that other shows would have done, this show didn't do it. And I think that is why it is refreshing, and probably why it didn't just wind up as another gay show. They didn't go places that they were expected to go. And in itself, that's unexpected, and that's what made it really interesting.
Yeah.
I love how you picked that out. See, this is why you make films. You're really good at this.
Maybe I'll get a tear out of you from one of my films.
You'll get a laugh out of me before you get a tear. Let me tell you right now, I'm an easy mark when it comes to a laugh. And we probably need to move on real quick to our next question, which came from actually several people. Which one is Bear Fur and which one is Sparkles? I kind of feel like this is something, the longer we do this question is going to keep coming up. So I just thought, why don't we just clear it up and just say, because it is kind of a fun little anecdote as to where the name came from.
Yeah, but you don't think it's obvious?
I don't think it's obvious which one's Bear Fur and which one's Sparkle.
I mean, I think it's obvious.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I guess I'm Bear Fur. See, this is our heated rivalry on its unexpected storyline.
Fernando, no, actually, come on. As Walt Whitman says, I contain multitudes. Our great gay, godfather of poetry.
I contain multitudes? Trust me, I grew up in a city that named a bridge after a gay poet. Walt Whitman, I should know, but...
You don't know that? Oh, I love that.
What was that? Which poem was the one where he said, I contain multitudes?
I think I put me on the spot. I want to say that this is Leaves of Grass. I think it's from Leaves of Grass.
Would you mind? Should I tell the little story as to where the name came from?
I don't even remember.
You and I were having a conversation. My husband was in on this conversation as well. It was one of our hey, let's check up on Jason, see how he's doing. And then you were basically going through like some of the struggles, some of the challenges you were dealing with there.
Yeah.
And at one point you just kind of stopped and you went, whew, girl, it ain't all Bear Fur and Sparkles running around trying to move to a new country. And at that point, I'm like, oh my God, that's the name of our podcast. It ain't all Bear Fur and Sparkles.
It ain't all Bear Fur and Sparkles.
All right. Now we should probably wrap this up.
I have the answer.
Oh, really? Yeah. Which
it is Song of Myself, 51. It's a short one. I'm just going to read it.
I love it. Oh, you can culture us.
Yeah, share a little culture in Bear Fur and Sparkles.
Okay.
The past and present wilt, I have filled them, emptied them, and proceed to fill my next fold of the future. Listener up there, what have you to confide in me? Look in my face while I snuff the sidle of evening. Talk honestly. No one else hears you, and I stay only a minute longer. Do I contradict myself? Very well then, I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. I concentrate toward them that are nigh. I wait on the door slab. Who has done his day's work? Who will soonest be through with his supper? Who wishes to walk with me? Will you speak before I am gone? Will you prove already too late? That's been this week's episode of Bear Fur and Sparkles.
All right, well then, that's a great way to wrap it up. Thank you very much, Jason and Walt Whitman, for making an appearance here today. Episode 2 of Bear Fur and Sparkles, the podcast about leaving your old life behind and starting fresh abroad. This one's complete. Be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeart, or you can follow my Substack. Just go already, and you'll see it in your inbox the moment a new episode drops. All right. I'm going to say ciao ciao from Portugal. What can you say from Greece, Jason?
The same thing that you say when you say hello, Yassas.
All right. Yassas. Bye, everybody.